for the rest of the hour. I've heard this guy's show on Genesis Sundays, and I'm impressed with it. I heard it one day when I wasn't even doing my own broadcast. Sometimes I take off on Sundays. And he's Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, a nutritional pharmacist from Boulder, Colorado, specializes in using nutritional supplements where other healthcare practitioners use toxic pharmacological drugs. He hosts The Bright Side on Genesis Sundays, and also he co-hosts Dead Doctors Don't Lie. And from my research, and by the way, I've just started taking some of the stuff that's recommended by Pharmacist Ben Fuchs and by Dr. Joel Wallach. My wife, though, is big into exercise. I mean, she exercises super hard. She's in great shape. And she loves the pollen burst. She loves the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. And because they have minerals in them, and they have B vitamins and other key things. But the issue is our food, because of the soils in this country and the toxic fertilizers, has been basically adulterated with chemicals and additives, but also doesn't have the minerals in it. And so many of the problems are caused by mineral deficiencies. But that's only one level of this. But I want to talk to Pharmacist Ben Fuchs specifically about, formerly being a mainline pharmacist, what he saw with bad drug interactions and these toxic drugs. I mean, you see the ads for big pharma mainline drugs. It's like, got restless legs? Well, take this. You know, it may cause you to do all these horrible things or all these health problems, but still it's great. Or having trouble needing to go to the bathroom too much? Here, take this. You know, but it may make you die. Or here, you know, 3,000 people die a year of the papillomavirus. But here, take this vaccine that doesn't even protect you from it, and then it ends up killing you. The Gardasil. What the statin drugs are doing. This is a pharmacist that saw this for himself. So we're going to talk about drug interactions, bad drug interactions, one of the biggest killers in this country, on the other side with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs for the rest of the hour. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We've got some new developments on the blackout situation due to deindustrialization up at prisonplanet.com. We'll be covering before the hour ends. But joining us for his maiden visit here on the transmission is Pharmacist Ben Fuchs, again, who hosts his own show here Sundays on the GCN Radio Network, the home of the Alex Jones Show. And you go through the statistics. We've got $2 trillion a year being spent on health care in the U.S., $8,000 for every man, woman, and child. But we have some of the worst health in the world. And a lot of it's caused by the drugs Big Pharma is pushing. And Pharmacist Ben Fuchs is obviously perfectly suited to be able to talk about this as somebody who was a long-time mainline pharmacist. Ben, great to have you on with us.
Greetings, Alex. Thank you so much, and thank you for all your wonderful work. I've been following your stuff for almost a decade now, and it's just a tremendous, tremendous asset to have you on our side.
Well, it's awesome having you here with us. This is a short segment, long one coming up. But, I mean, bottom line, how did you awaken? What's going on in this country? Because we're told give up all of our rights because terrorists might kill us, but we got a better chance of being struck by lightning or, drowned.
By prescription drugs.
Yeah.
Or killed by prescription drugs, yes. Well, in pharmacy school, one of the main things we study in pharmacy school, believe it or not, is side effects. I remember watching a movie, and I graduated from pharmacy school back in 1986, and I remember watching a movie that was put out by a drug company, a promotional movie for a new drug that was going to revolutionize the hypertensive business, the antihypertensive business. It was a drug called Inderal, or now known as propranolol. It was a beta blocker drug. It was a new class of drugs, and this was an hour-long movie that was done to promote this drug. In the first 15 minutes, they talked about how revolutionary this drug was going to be. The last 45 minutes was some lady reading the side effects of this drug, and she was reading them very fast, and she could barely get them through in 45 minutes. And right then and there, I knew we had a problem. And then when I graduated pharmacy school and started to work in the drug business, I started to see what I was actually doing as a perpetrator, as a pushing these medicines on children and on the elderly, because that's who takes most of our medicine, is children and the elderly. And I just couldn't live with myself. And the more and more I did research, the more I found out that we are not sick in this country. We're starving. We're missing basic raw materials. You see, Alex, the human body is a healing and regenerating system. It's designed on a divine basis to heal and renew itself on a moment-to-moment basis, and you need look no further than the last time you cut your finger to observe this healing process in place. And that same healing process that kicks in when you get a little paper cut, where little fibers wind their way to the area and collagen comes through and white blood cells clear it out, and all of a sudden 2 days later you don't even know you have a cut. That same process happens inside the body. It happens on a regular basis. It's divinely mandated, but it needs raw materials to do its work. And those raw materials are what we call nutrition and nutritional supplementation, and those are the raw materials that we're missing. We're missing them, as you said, the last hour, from the ground up. We're missing them from the soils. We're missing them from the plants. We're missing them from food processing. And the net effect is degenerative diseases are increasing at an epidemic rate, and it is a tragic, tragic state of affairs.
And this is known by science. This is known in all their big internal studies. This is known by doctors and veterinarians. One of the biggest issues that people that own livestock deal with is mineral deficiencies that cause all sorts of health problems, that then hurt the overall output of the farm or ranch. This is not a secret to those that do the research. But, I mean, here's just a historical example. Why are British called limeys? Germans get called krauts because they like to eat sauerkraut. Why are British called limeys? Well, going back over 300 years, internal British naval reports, their scientists found that for whatever reason, people that didn't eat fresh fruits had their skin degenerate, their teeth fall out, old wounds would open back up, and they knew that if they simply ate fruits, that for some reason they then wouldn't die when they went on long voyages. And so the British Empire spread for many reasons, but one of the biggest was their sailors 5,000 miles from home engaging a Spanish ship 5,000 miles from home, or a French ship. And the French and Spanish, by the way, made jokes for hundreds of years about the British, how they carried limes with them everywhere, calling them limeys. And to make sure that the people on the ship would drink it, they would squeeze the lime into the rum, into the grog, part water, part rum, that they gave the sailors because they knew they'd drink the liquor. And so they would mix that lime in, and so the British would be all healthy and ready to kill some people when their ship came up alongside to board, and the Spanish or the French would all be laying out on the deck with their teeth falling out, the #1 cause of death for sailors, obviously being scurvy. And that's an example right there of just vitamin C needed in collagen.
That's exactly right. And just a tiny little bit of vitamin C. And if you don't have that tiny little bit of vitamin C, as you said, you get scurvy, which is one of the most hideous diseases known to man. But you know what, Alex? You need more than that tiny little bit of vitamin C for optimum health. And that's one of the biggest scams going in the world of health.
And that's what Nobel Prize winner, two-time Nobel Prize winner Linus Pauling found, but they don't want and now the UN's moving to block taking mega doses of vitamin C. Let's talk about that and a lot more with pharmacist Ben Fuchs straight ahead. There is no doubt that the medical system, not the average doctor, they're compartmentalized, not the average pharmacist or nurse, but the medical system itself wants to treat the disease, not give you preventative measures. And we're talking about this with insider, formerly a mainline pharmacist, talk show host Ben Fuchs. Ben, continuing, I just used the example of scurvy. Let's continue with scurvy and then look at what other mineral or vitamin deficiencies do, and how when people go into the hospital or the doctor now, they don't even look at that. They don't even look at deficiencies. They don't test the blood. They just give you some toxic pharmacological garbage.
Worse than that, Alex, they take you off your supplements if you're on supplements because they don't want the supplements to interfere with the toxins.
Oh, yeah, I hear Dr. Dean Adele every week when I tune in. He's on a local station before I go on Sundays, and I've had Dr. Dean on before. I hear him say vitamins are bad for you. He'll bring out these government studies. He'll say that you don't need them. I mean, it's crazy.
Alex, you ever hear the term useful idiot?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you something. With all due respect to the good doctor, that term is very appropriate. I don't know what his intentions are. Maybe I'm sure he's a nice guy, but to go out and to tell people that they need to go off of their vitamins, that vitamins cause problems, is absolutely at best irresponsible, and at worst it's insidious and evil. The fact of the matter is vitamins have zero side effects. Vitamins have, and by the way, I don't mean just vitamins and minerals and what we call nutritional compounds have zero side effects, zero toxicities, zero adverse effects. The worst thing that can happen is you can take a 500 vitamin A pills and go into something called hypervitaminosis, which immediately reverses as soon as you stop taking the vitamins, unlike prescription drugs, which are a leading cause of death, which are a leading cause of hospitalizations, fifth leading cause of death, according to the Journal of the American Medical
Association. And by the way, you're a pharmacist, and you know, my dad's a dentist, and I've seen him call a pharmacist friend of his to ask if a drug interacts. My dad's really smart, but he'll tell you a pharmacist knows more than he does because you deal with this every day. And I know medical doctors will call and check with pharmacists about interactions because you guys are the experts.
With all due respect to doctors, they are trained in hiding symptoms and masking symptoms. And I should clarify that there's two types of medicine. There is what we call heroic medicine, where, by the way, American medicine excels.
A gunshot wound, a compound fracture.
Heart attacks, stitching you up, get hit by a car or bus. That's called heroic medicine, and nobody ever gives short shrift to surgeons or people who practice heroic medicine, where medicine is an abject failure. An abject failure
is pharmakia.
Ambulatory medicine, where people are being treated for their symptoms. Well, Alex, your symptoms are your friends. Your diabetes is your friend. Your psoriasis, your arthritis is your friend, because it's telling you there is something underneath in the biochemistry of your body that needs to be corrected, or your demise is imminent. The idea is not to hide the symptom. The idea is not to mask the symptom. The idea is not to shut the body down. The idea is to figure out what is wrong, what is the body trying to tell you, and to correct that problem. And more often than not, it is based in the nutritional system. And that's why nutritional supplementation is an absolute must. It is not an option, especially in this day and age of health insurance, where everybody's screaming and up in arms about buying health insurance, being forced to buy in health insurance, the costs of health insurance. My friends, there is no better health insurance, and there is no less expensive health insurance than $3 a day on a nutritional supplementation program.
Well, why? If you see the statistics from Australia to the United States, it's the same, because our industrial growth was almost identical, but it's the same thing in Western Europe. Up until about 1935 or so, suddenly people started living longer. Suddenly people started having less diseases. They were drinking better water. They were getting more nutrients. They were getting better heroic medicine. We had better sewage systems. People knew to wash their hands. Then vaccines and drugs come in, and suddenly we see a lot of that life extension gain being reversed now across the board. Please continue.
Life expectancy just dropped. You know, average life expectancy in the United States just actually dropped the last year. Slight drop, but I predict it's going to be dropping even further, and it's the first time in decades that that's happened. Now, what occurred, Alex, is we really, up until about the middle of the 20th century, we really did use nutrition. Physicians really did practice nutritional medicine, and we understood the power of the diet. But right around the middle of the century, the pharmaceutical industry started to understand how the body could be manipulated, so that symptoms could be hid. And this really began with the advent of steroid medicine. Around the middle of the 20th century, rheumatoid arthritis was a real killer disease, and it's still a pretty horrible disease. We don't see folks with rheumatoid arthritis too bad anymore.
Yeah, it was the Germans that pioneered steroid medicine.
Well, what happened was, when steroid medicine came out, steroids shut down the immune system. Rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease where the immune system goes awry and starts to attack itself. Well, when steroids came out, we figured out how to shut down the immune system. Well, temporarily, if you shut down the immune system, you're not going to have rheumatoid arthritis. And that was
But then your body doesn't fight off the cancer.
Exactly. Do you think it's a good idea to ever shut down your immune system? Hello, doctors out there listening.
It's estimated, according to the federal government reports I've seen, that a 20-year-old gets cancer a couple times a year, that a 70-year-old is getting it almost every day, but the body is beating it. Right. And it's when your autoimmune system stops killing the cancer every day, it's over.
You never want to shut down your immune system. It is absolutely ridiculous to think that by shutting down the immune system you could improve health. But, Alex, that's how medicine works.